The Link Show is just about to start. If you want to be a part of The Link Show, head over to linkkids.com.au/live.
We are continuing with our series of Fear Fighters fighting fear with faith.
And we got shout outs from all over the world.
That's right. And today Miguel's going to be facing his fear. With
Whoa. No. Buckle, you haven't spun the wheel
We'll
yet.
talk about that in a second. All that and more. Let's get linked. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Yes, no, we haven't decided that it's Miguel.
No, we haven't.
Just yet. We got to spin the wheel first. We got to spin the wheel.
Oh, do you know what? There was a snake last week, so I feel like whatever you have in store today.
It's not me, it's SK.
you.
I had nothing to do with it. I knew that everyone would be like, oh, Buckle made it bad. It's a wheel. See, actually, you know what this time? Because I feel like you guys see it happen, I'm going to let the kids see it and not you.
What?
Yeah, because that way everyone knows that it's legit. Are you ready?
Okay.
Here we go.
He just wants you bad.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, hands off the wheel. Hands off the wheel. Hands off the wheel. It's Cece! Look at that. There it is. There it is.
It's okay. It's not going to be a snake. There's already been a snake. It won't be a snake.
Okay, Miguel, I need you to go and get ready to read the shout-outs.
I can do that.
Okay, and while he does that, Cece.
No.
Are you ready?
No.
Well, you said the snake's been and gone.
Yeah, but like, I don't know what's coming.
It's true, but that's a part of facing fear. Sometimes you don't know what's coming, and just not knowing can make you scared. So we're going to learn all about that. So I'm going to get ready to teach us all about fighting our fear with faith. And while we do that, why don't we jump over to Miguel? Let's read this week's shoutouts.
Let's read your shout outs. Ava says, "Hi Buckle, I love your videos and the new logo." Lara says, "You all encourage me so much. Everyone loves you. You are such amazing people. Thanks for the Link Show. It is also so entertaining. We're glad you love it, Lara." Diego says, "Why were there so many Rooster supporters last week? At least the Eels made it to the grand final last year. Go the Eels." Personally, Diego, I like the Titans. And lastly, we want to say hi to the kids from Bundaberg Christian College. We love having you as part of the Link crew. Let's go see what Buckle is up to.
Okay, so I've got a quick story for you. When I was at school on Fridays, we used to get to choose what activity we would go and do on a Friday afternoon. Some people might have gone and done sports, some went and did dance lessons, and I chose to do indoor rock climbing, and it became my favorite thing to do for that entire year. And I remember starting out on the easy walls with, if you've done indoor rock climbing, you would know all about it. You got walls that are sort of just straight up, and there's lots of places for your hands and feet, and you climb to the top. You get to the top and you ring the bell or you press the button or whatever it is to signify that you made it to the top. And so we did the easy wall, and then we would do the next more difficult wall, and they had all this section over in the far corner for the advanced climbers. All the grown-ups would go over there, and that was the hard climbing section, and none of the kids were able to do it. And so they'd try and they'd fall, but I never had the courage to do it, mainly because there was this one section called an overhang that instead of it being straight up, it would come out on a bit of an angle, so you'd have to hang upside down. I was able to do those ones, but it had one bit that came straight out flat, and it was the highest part of all the walls. Now, as you know, if you've watched the Link Show before, I'm afraid of heights. And so you might be thinking, wait, Buckle, how did you enjoy rock climbing even though you're afraid of heights? I know, I didn't feel afraid on the easy walls when I was climbing because I felt safe. But seeing this wall upside down, I didn't have the courage at the beginning of the school term to try. But week after week, friends of mine would go and try to climb up this wall. They couldn't do it, they would fall down, they'd try again, fall down. But by about week 5, my friends all started completing this wall that was meant for the older people, or the grown-ups, and they were actually doing it. And so I was one of the only kids in the entire group that hadn't even tried. But then one day something happened. The teacher that was there noticed that I hadn't climbed the wall. I hadn't made it to the top. I hadn't even tried the difficult one. And so he had an idea. He said, "Buckle, why don't we do it together so you don't feel like you're doing it alone?" And so I reluctantly decided to give it a go. And so We got to the bottom of the wall, we clipped our harnesses in and we started climbing, and we'd only done a little bit of the wall, and he said, hold on a second, when we get to the difficult part, I don't want you to look down, I don't want you to look around, I want you to look at me. Because the two walls were identical. And he said, look at me and copy what I do and you'll be okay. We got to the part where the wall started going upside down, and I got the first overhang where it was an angle. But then we got to the bit that was upside down and I started to panic, and I made this mistake. I looked down. And at this moment, I lost it. I couldn't do it. I froze up with fear and I couldn't move. It got to the point where they had to pull the rope tight to let me get off the wall to then lower me down again. We got to the bottom and the teacher said, why did you look around? Why didn't you keep your eyes on me? I was going to help you. And I said, I got afraid. I looked around and I looked down. He said, right, we're going to try one more time, but this time watch me. And so sure enough, we started on the wall. We got to the overhang. We're upside down. I was about to look away and he called to me. He said, buckle. I said, what? Eyes on me. So I looked at him. I didn't even look where my hands and feet were. And as he moved his hand up, I copied him. And then he moved up his foot and I copied him. And then my hand and foot watching him as he went, copying what he did. And I was able to overcome that wall. And after a couple of goes, I made it to the top. You see, sometimes we face moments in our lives where they seem overwhelming and they seem too big for us to face alone. But the thing is, we're never actually facing those challenges alone if we don't want to. Jesus wants to be there with us and helping us every step of the way. And so in just a minute, we're going to take a look at a story in the Bible where one of the disciples had an opportunity. They could either be afraid or they could step out of a boat and do something that no one had done before. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. All right, we are back, week 3 of our Fear Fighter series with a whole nother animal. Cece is back in the hot seat once again. We got SJ back from True Blue Reptiles. This is so much fun. Now last week... Well, you said the one thing you didn't want to have to hold was the snake. Miguel got the snake.
Miguel got the
He did
snake.
it last
Okay,
week.
you're right.
So
I can do anything.
I feel like you're on the home stretch at this point.
True.
I don't know that there's a more scary animal than a snake to hold, but I do think we need to find out.
SJ just coughed.
Oh no. There's a I think
The door is there. I'm ready.
Quick, lock the doors. We wouldn't do that. Okay, we've got another special guest. I want to find out what is more scary than a snake. SJ, who have you got for us today?
We have Harrison.
Harrison, that's cute.
It's a good name.
Deal with that.
Yeah, Harrison is like a lizard without any legs.
Yeah!
Miguel, it's a lizard without legs. Whoa! What do you reckon that is?
This end of the couch is what it
Cece
is.
just went as far down as she could. I think that means it might be another snake. Perhaps. Oh!
Here he
Whoa! Look at that! Although I feel as though Harrison is not as big as our friend from last week.
No.
It's still a snake.
It's still a snake. How you feeling, Cece?
The head's
it's
a bit
looking
too
at you.
close to me.
It's looking at
the
you.
head needs to go the other way.
Okay. Now, Harrison, you were saying is very old. Is this correct?
Yeah. So he's very old. He's past his use by.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
So he needs lots of very gentle care and handling. So
Okay. So
yeah.
what we'll do then? So Cece isn't going to hold Harrison because he's very old, but
Like
she has to touch him and pat him to overcome her fear.
Had it.
You
Yeah.
pat him. Can you do it? So what sort of snake did you say Harrison was? Sorry.
He's a carpet python,
Carpet python.
and the carpet python is a local snake
Okay.
along the east coast
Right.
of Australia. But this particular subspecies comes from down south and inland a little bit. So he's got some lovely smoky colours to help him blend in
it's
with
so
the
cool.
granite.
Ooh, lovely.
All right, Cece, are you ready? We'll get the head down this end. Here we go. I'm more than happy
Should
to
just
hold
feel
the head.
like an expensive handbag.
Oh, okay, I'm used
Exactly.
to that.
Oh, so good.
Kid, I'm not. Yeah, okay, I touched it.
Well done. She touched it. We'll give
touched
her
it.
that. We'll give her that.
Proud
This
of me.
is so cool. And like we mentioned as well, if you want to meet some of these animals, True Blue Reptiles actually does like birthday parties as well. And so they would totally come and do your birthday party if you get in touch with them. And you could actually meet Harrison for yourself as well, which is super cool.
Which is if you want to do, like, you do that. That's,
Yeah,
you
Cece's going to
you.
do it for your next birthday, aren't you?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Amazing. But while we get Harrison back into the bag, why
Please.
don't you go check out today's animated Bible story? say hello to Jesus, the Son of God, the Savior of the world. And while Jesus was here on earth, he would travel around telling people about how much God loved them and healing their sick. One time, Jesus even did a miracle where he fed over 5,000 people using only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. But by now, it was getting late in the day, so Jesus told his disciples to hop in the boat and travel ahead of him to the other side while he stayed behind and sent the people home. After everyone had left, Jesus climbed up a nearby mountain by himself to pray. But later that night, while Jesus was alone on the mountain, the boat had already traveled away from the land and was fighting against the wind and the waves. It was getting crazy. A little bit before dawn the next morning, Jesus decided to go out and meet them walking on the water. When the disciples saw him, they were terrified. "It's a ghost!" they yelled in fear. But Jesus immediately called back, "Take courage! Don't be afraid. It's me." Peter replied, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come out to you on the water." So Jesus replied, "Come on out." Peter walked to the edge of the boat, put his hands on the edge, put one foot over, and as his foot touched the water, he started walking on the water as well. He started walking out towards Jesus, but when he was a little bit away from the boat, he got distracted and he saw the wind and he saw the waves and he got afraid and he began to sink. "Lord, save me!" he cried out. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and grabbed him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" When they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then everyone that was in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." The thing I love about this story is 2 different elements. Firstly, Jesus is showing who he is and revealing his power, that in the middle of the storm and the chaos, he has all the power, he's not afraid because he knows who he is and he knows who God's called him to be. And so he's just out walking on the water, just having a good old time, living his best life. And then the disciples see him and they get afraid and they're like, "Oh, it's a ghost!" But no, it's Jesus. But then Peter has this wise idea, "Jesus, if it's really you, call me out with you." And as you saw in the story, Peter steps out and is walking on the water. Doesn't matter about the chaos around him, he's walking on top of the water. He is safe until he takes his eyes off Jesus. You see, him walking on the water had nothing to do with his own ability or power. It all came down to where was he putting his focus and trust. Was he putting his focus on Jesus, trusting that he would keep him safe, or was he looking at the storm and thinking this storm is more powerful than Jesus? And it's in that moment when he takes his eyes off Jesus and looks at the problem and let that become his focus that he begins to sink. You see, that's the trap we fall into, that when things get difficult, we put all our focus on the problem instead of on the one who is the solution. You see, the Bible actually says that we can put all of our worries, all of our problems, all of our cares onto Jesus. It says, put your cares or cast your burdens onto Jesus because he cares for you. You're not meant to carry the pressure of your worries. Yes, there's worries. Yes, there's things that go wrong, but you were never meant to carry the weight of that. That was always something that Jesus wanted to do for you. But just like if you're going on a hike and you're carrying a heavy backpack and someone says, "Let me carry that for you," you have to choose whether you're going to carry it yourself or take it off and give it to that person who wants to help. You see, that's what it is to be a Christian, a follower of Jesus. That yes, we make a one-off decision at the beginning to say, "Jesus, I want to be a Christian," but then every single day, even when the storms come, we have to choose to not take that backpack of weight back when things go wrong, but trust that Jesus is in control and keep our eyes on him. And so if you're watching this today and you've got stuff going on and you don't know what to do, you feel weighed down by the burden of it, cast your burdens onto Jesus. And so if you want to make a decision to follow Jesus, to give your life to him, to let him be the one to carry the weight of the worries of your life. There's a video over on the live page. There's a button at the top that says yes to Jesus. Click that, it'll take you to a video that will tell you all about taking that first step to becoming a follower of Jesus. And if you are a Christian, remember, you don't have to carry the weight yourself. Cast your burdens on Jesus because he cares for you. So what are we remembering today? Keep your eyes on Jesus. Oh, so much fun again, week 3. Okay, we got the quiz coming up later on that you can do after watching the Link show. And so we need to recap. What happened today?
Well, Cece had to face her fear and finally hold a snake.
She actually did it too.
Yeah.
It was awful.
How'd you
How
feel?
good.
I was terrified. Like I was I was up in this couch, but I was afraid, like the disciples were, watching Jesus walk on water.
It's true, which was today's story.
Yeah.
And the bonus question in the quiz this week, it probably isn't going to be the fact that Miguel's hat is facing to the left.
Man.
I don't know, but hey, go check out the quiz later on the live interaction page. But thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Please go subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where we put the bonus clips and we put the shout out videos and all those sorts of things. My name is Buckle.
My name's Miguel.
And I'm Cece.
And we'll see you next week on The Link Show.